Shop bulk.
After being urged by President Biden, Congress is working even harder to get the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act passed by May 25th, which is the first anniversary of George Floyd's murder. Lawmakers from both parties came together for an almost hour-long sit-down on Thursday in an attempt to reach consensus. They included Republican Senator Tim Scott, Democratic Senator Cory Booker, and Democratic Congresswoman Karen Bass. Tim Scott says nothing happened, deterring optimism, but Senator Booker said there's really good momentum. The version of the bill that passed the House in March aims to ban neck restraints, chokeholds, and no-knock warrants at the federal level and create a nationwide police misconduct registry. It also seeks to diminish qualified immunity, which shields officers from some civil lawsuits unless the officer violated someone's constitutional rights. Republicans do not want to get rid of qualified immunity, and that's been a major sticking point plaguing the bill's progress in the Senate. Joining me now is Democratic Congresswoman Barbara Lee of California. She was an original co-sponsor of the bill. She voted in March to pass it and had the opportunity to speak with President Biden after his first address to Congress on Wednesday. Representative Lee, good to see you again. Thank you for joining us. Talk to me about how you would characterize the discussions about this bill that are going on with Republicans as it relates to this issue of qualified immunity. Republicans seem to be quite stuck on this because Mitch McConnell talked about it the other day.
Sure, Ali. Good morning, and thank you for having me with you. And I have to say that this is such an important issue, first of all, the entire bill, the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. But it's extremely important that all of these provisions prevail. But I know that our negotiators, Congresswoman Bass, Senator Scott, Senator Booker, are doing everything they can do to come to consensus on all of the provisions. But believe you me, no person is above the law, even police officers. And I know that the Republicans and Senator Scott have their points of views. We passed the bill in the House, as you said, with qualified immunity intact. And so this is a negotiation, and our negotiators, they're very clear on what they believe should be in the bill, and they're having the talks each and every day. I think the good part about this is they're talking, they're discussing all of these issues, and hopefully, as President Biden put forth, that they will come to some resolve so that he can have it at his desk and sign it into law.
How would you characterize the fact that Cory Booker says things are going well and Tim Scott says he's less optimistic?
It's a negotiation. You have Republicans and Democrats. You have people with different points of view. So their perception and their, analysis of where they are may be different. But the point is they're still talking. And I know Congresswoman Bass is trying her best. I know Senator Booker and Senator Scott. And so however it's characterized, I think it's important to recognize and to continue to fight for the passage of this bill. It's urgent. We need this unprecedented reform now. This is a modest measure, quite frankly, but it's designed to hold police accountable and to ensure transparency and to make sure that we have our data collection so that police officers who do bad things can't move from one place to another without the transparency there. So there are many provisions of this bill that are very important. So as long as the talks are continuing, I'm optimistic that they're going to get this done because the people in our country want it, and we can have black and brown people in this country are living under siege, Ali, and it's difficult for us to even fathom how we got to this point in America because systemic racism is so embedded in all of our systems and structures in this country and in our criminal justice system especially. And so we've got to make this modest step forward so we can begin to reform the criminal justice system in general.
You've used terms bipartisanship and negotiation a couple of times in this conversation. If it turns out that the bill that you co-sponsored that got passed by the House ends up as a piece of compromise legislation out of the Senate, will you support it?
Well, let me tell you, it's going to be a compromise bill if we get it done. We have to see what the provisions are in it. We don't want a bill that does nothing and that allows these horrific murders of black and brown people to continue to take place. It's time to get this done. Enough is enough. And so it's hard to say what's going to be in the bill because they're still in the discussions. And so we'll see how it moves forward. But I'm sure that our negotiators are not going to allow a bill that does nothing. I mean, they've been in this a long time. We're fighting for criminal justice reform. This has got to stop. And so it makes no sense to pass a bill that does not address the issues that keep the transparency and accountability with police officers in check.
Congresswoman, good to see you. Thanks, as always, for joining us. Democratic Congresswoman Barbara Lee of California. Well, coming up, a 12-year-old girl is soon heading off to college, 12 years old. Then she plans to go to infinity and beyond. Details on her inspiring